And welcome everybody to Locked On Lads TV. Tonight we are at Chicagoland Speedway for round number 5 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries, and I'm Peter Wilkinson, and I'm joined tonight by Scotty Rankin. How are you, Scotty?
Yeah, not bad, Wilco, not bad. Been a week off, great opportunity for just about everyone to really indulge themselves in other non-Australasian Supercars eSeries events. Ugh. Glad we're back, to be honest.
Yeah, glad we're back. As if we're in from the blimp static view at the moment, and I just saw some cars go flying across the infield. This is what we're here for, people. The chaos of the Australasian Supercars eSeries. No, we've got a little bit of a different one tonight. We're not the same start time. We've been a bit of a delay start because we've got pre-qualifying for the first time ever in the series. There was too many people. We had to limit it to 43 people, so we have done a full pre-qualification, which meant we just had to delay the start of the broadcast a little bit while that got all sorted out. The guys have just finished. The 43, the lucky 43 in the field, have just finished the practice session. We are now gridding up already and ready to go. We're going to go through that grid. Let's have a look. Let's move away from this. Let's show this. Let's hide that, and let's get down and have a look at what's happening on the start line, starter cam, as they're all lined up ready to go.
You said a few words there, Wilco, and the first thing that popped in my head was let's get down to business, and I won't complete the rest of that song because that might get us demonetized. But anyway,
not with your tones. There's no chance. We won't be on tune.
Let's get down to business to defeat the Huns. Does that fool the Google algorithms? Is that how we do it? You just got to say it in really weird accents?
Yeah, he's got to be a little bit out from you'll be right.
I've been practicing.
That's it. So I'm just quickly getting rid of a few things, getting a few things started, and guess what, everyone? We're rolling around on the grid and ready to go. You haven't even told people what's happening tonight. Barry Neal first on the grid, next to Darren McKenzie, Dylan O'Shea, who welcomes to our Discord, Locked On Those Discord. Thank you, Dylan, for jumping in there. Andrew Dyson, a familiar name that I've been calling, but not a familiar name for this series. He's up there in 4th. Troy Davison in 5th. Jai Schultz in 6th. Ruben Phelps in 7th. Cade Donnelly in 8th. Sean Hart 9th. Aaron Dillon 10th. Aiden Schultz 11th. Alan Geel 12th. Dwayne Pearce 13th. Peter Jones 14th, Christopher Finlay 15th, Raymond Yeager 16th, Justin Witchard right next door to him or just behind him on 17th, Adam Malone 18th, Tom Pritchard 19th, Andy Barber 20th, Gary Wellman 21st, the all-amide Stephen Hall in 22nd, Greg Spencer in 23rd, Stevie Dubb 24th, Nigel Patton 25th, Andrew Ritchie, wow, Andrew Ritchie's here, 26th, Kim Roffey in 27th, Warren Sharp in 28th, Troy Mortensen in 29th, Peter Gretton in 30th, Craig Roffey 31st, Nicholas Walsh 32nd, Tristan Cock 33rd, Roy Clark in 34th, Derek Jacobs in 35th, Nobby Tompkins 36th, and we're racing anyway. We're going to miss out those last few names. We've got flashing lights trying to get Barry Neal to go early, but he's not. He has now jumped though, and it's a brilliant start to down the back there. What's going on?
Yeah, so I've just kept my eyes on that, just on our pacing laps. I've just been listening to the driver comms. There's been a lot of checkups, a lot of guys surging, checking up. One of the biggest and best things when you have 43 cars is you get 43 cars out on the racetrack. That right there is the worst possible thing to come with a larger grid. The bigger the grid, the stronger the accordion effect. So what's going to happen under pacing is people have got to maintain a consistent speed. The instant one car doesn't maintain a consistent speed, the next car's 1 or 2 kilometers an hour further out, the next car 1 or 2 kilometers an hour. Very quickly, you've got cars with disparate speeds of over 10 kilometers an hour. That's what causes the issues. A lot of drivers getting into the series, qualifying into the series, just a little bit antsy on the qualifying laps, and well, there's a few cars that are missing bits and bobs of their cars before the start of lap 1.
Yeah, we just got in there. I just got your audio up a little bit. I was worried about that beforehand. It is now fixed. Thank you, everyone. The game audio is really soft now again, though, I believe. But I will fix it up in a sec. It was Todd Maxfield was missing front and rear end of the car. He was one of the ones caught up in that back part. There he is on the infield there, just getting overtaken. His night is pretty much over, I would suggest, already. But we have a very good start. Very good start. Barry Neal is at the front. Yes, we should have all our audio issues figured out now. Sorry everyone for that start. But there's a, who are we on at the moment? We're on Dylan O'Shea in 5th position in the black car. Not much sponsorship there for him whatsoever, but he's looking good in the mid pack. Well, not mid pack, middle of the front pack, as they're trying to go 3 wide up here at the front. In Chicagoland, give us a bit of a history on Chicagoland, or your thoughts on Chicagoland, Scotty.
Well, here it is, Wilco. It's honestly, it's right up there. There's a couple tracks that are your generic cookie cutter tracks, and they're all really close together. And then you've got your tracks that are like Kentucky, like Chicagoland. Chicagoland's probably one of the most interesting tracks on the circuit, similar to Kentucky, for a big reason. There is actually no perfectly straight bit of racetrack around here. It's been a track that NASCAR has had this on and off relationship with in the United States. There was a couple years there where they were on the verge of closing down the circuit. Now it's resurging. Now it's back. It's back on the calendar. It's bigger and better than ever. I tell you what, I am so glad to see that, because the racing it creates is unique. I've been door to door here. You can go 3 wide. You can maintain 3 wide the entire lap around. That's something that we'll look for at the tail end of the lap. What's critical tonight, as it always is for these guys, one set of tyres. These cars, year on year, have struggled to get to the end of tyres. What you're going to want to do is extend that first stint on tyres. If you can go 2 full stints, that last set of tyres, that is going to be critical to your race. If you can take them, or let's say 50 laps from the end, you will have a massive advantage over everyone else. You don't need to save. And that means you can get aggressive. You can get those elbows out when you need to.
So you're telling me this is just one corner? This whole track is just one continuous corner? There's continuous no 4 corners to an oval?
There is very close sections to straight, but the back stretch has a slight curvature to it, as we're 3 wide at the front end of town as well. Barry Neal's going to try and come up here and cut underneath and take first spot away. He's managed to do that. Still 3 wide, 2 rows back. Barry Neal surged a long way ahead now, and it's 3 wide, 2 rows deep. What is this? Lap 130? No, it's lap 8. Lap 8.
This is what we love about the Australasian Supercars eSeries. There's never a chance to look away. Just a little bit behind the scenes stuff. We've got a live timing board here that goes green and red when people change positions. Mine just lights up green and red the whole way through the field. They are stopping and changing positions because they're 2 or 3 wide the whole way around this track. As the drone gets above the mid-pack here, we're watching Aiden Schultz in the middle of a pack that stretches from the front to about 23rd position. As we've got a bit of a slow car there. Is that Steve Hall going backwards? That is Steve Hall going backwards.
Yeah, it was one of the darker cars in the midfield going backwards, but good to see that Stevie Hall survived pre-qualifying tonight, gets himself into the main game. Just had a quick look through the field as well, Wilco. We've lost 2 cars from the lead lap. They are Aaron Bryan and Todd Maxfield. Now remember, Bryan's been having some really, really good success, but one of the bigger issues that he's really had is being consistent. Now that car actually looks reasonably well still together, so he may have been able to protect that thing. He's got a chance to get his laps back. But for Todd Maxfield, you mentioned it, night over. He's at 4 laps down. He's going to continue to just drift further and further and further back. It is 130 laps of pain here tonight for for Todd Maxfield. And for Aaron Bryan, he's going to want to see a 43 car field hopefully become 3 cautions here at some point.
Yeah, that's it. He can definitely get it back. What's the odds? You're the expert here, Scotty. I'm just here to fill in the gaps while you take a breath. What's the odds of cautions around Chicagoland? It's a pretty high, fast, flowy track. It's sort of not going to be a tyre wear problem. It's going to be just concentration problem, I assume, the biggest thing?
It's not necessarily a concentration. It's about, and I've experienced this from probably, so remember over the last couple of weeks we've been comparing NASCAR, we've been comparing IndyCar, and then we've been comparing this. They're all 3 sort of formats that are somewhat close together but have their own unique quirks within the oval environment. I closely compare this to a NASCAR or a stock car, big, heavy, high-powered car style of racing with a couple of IndyCar elements to it. Within that, I think that best fits the bill for how we expect things to go. And I don't know about you, but I've never seen a NASCAR race go green from flag to flag, so...
No, there will be something happen eventually. I'm surprised, or not surprised, but we did almost have that at the start yellow off the restart, off the actual start of the race, with a few cars having problems there. Luckily, everyone kept it straight, which is the main thing. We were just riding on board there with Andrew Ritchie, good mate of Locked On Lads. He's from the Banter Alliance, who are running 2 cars tonight. Roy Clark's been running in the series since a couple of weeks ago, since the start of the season. He's on his own. No one wants to be near Andrew Ritchie. Take that for what you will. But that's probably the smartest driving from the 6 cars around him right now. But definitely the idea. But we see the Roffies coming up through there in the middle split racing on the back of him. That's Craig just popping up on the back there. As there is a lot of things happening at the front, but there is also a lot of stuff happening around this point of the field as well.
So a couple things to talk about in terms of, I don't know if you got a trap map quickly sort of grabbable, but this is one of the things that I really like watching. Have a look at that. That lead pack there as they come down the front stretch, which is on your left-hand side, it's a tri-oval. It's got a kink in it, the front stretch. So diving down to the apron, coming back up to the track, you've got to watch where you rejoin that. It's all about knowing where your car is relative to the others and relative to the runs that everyone's got going on. That's how you sort of keep yourself safe, is understanding the flow of traffic. If you're very good at driving in and around Sydney traffic or high metro area, no, I'm serious. It's actually the way
serious, but it's hilarious still.
Well, I mean, you think about it. When you're in Sydney traffic, you've got to be aware of, if you want to move from one lane to another lane, you're in the left-hand lane coming up to a set of lights, let's say 300-400 meters ahead of you, and you need to be in the right-hand lane to turn right at those next set of lights. You've got to be aware of the runs that are coming to your right-hand side. You've got to do a little bit of a shoulder check. Well, how do you do that in iRacing? You've got to use your mirrors. You've got to use your spotter. So normally when we're sitting there, you don't really have, unless you've got my wife alongside you, she's, there's a car there. You can't turn into that lane. She's very helpful with me being able to pick up where cars are coming from. As you see Tom Maxfield drop back through the pack, loses another lap. But you've got to be aware of what cars are coming in that other lane, where the runs are coming from. And yeah, sometimes you're going to annoy other drivers out on the road. Sometimes you're going to get a little bit of road rage. But you've got to get across to that right-hand lane so that you can make that next right-hand turn. So there's a little bit of argy-bargy, understanding where to shove your nose in, when not to shove your nose in. And you'll see that. If you compare it to the road, you will see a lot of comparisons there. Have a look at the number. It's not country road. This is definitely city traffic.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I was having a bit of an inhale of breath there because Barry Neal got very up and down the track, went across all 3 lines and pretty much almost pushed Dyson up into the wall there.
Look, Barry Neal is going to get himself cut off at some point. Look, he's probably going to get flipped a bird, probably not loved all that much. And yeah, I didn't even see an indicator.
But what is good about these V8s on this track tonight, look at those lights. We saw from the blimp ahead, it really lights up the track. So you can see how good that looks with these cars on this track at night time. Well done to Australasian Supercar eSeries to get this happening. Jai Schultz started fairly high. He's dropping back down the field here. We go back to him. He's one of the ones to look out for the said championship that we all really should be looking at, and I'll get you an update on that fairly soon. But right now he's down 5 positions. The big winners so far are Noddy Tompkins, who is, of course, he's going so fast. He's missing his rear boot, so he's got the less downforce, so he's definitely going to go faster.
Quick check at what's going on up front. No. I get a sneaking suspicion that Barry Neal might have just made contact with the Simboys cars. Kate Donnelly was very upset. Well, I said, use your indicator, look at what you're doing when you're cutting across all 3 lanes. I wonder if some city traffic may not have come to blows there momentarily. So be very careful. Look for any sort of little bit of rumpled. Is the left rear tyre? I thought the left rear tyre was a little bit crumpled in around Kate Donnelly, like just fractionally.
Let's have a close look. Kate is up front there. I can't see huge amounts. Let's have a few different angles.
It's only going to be light. I know it's only going to be light, but maybe it's a trick of the light. It could be a trick of the light.
Hey, look, there was something happening anyway. But it is interesting. The Simboys are now trying to keep control of this race, though. They've got up front. I don't see any damage on Barry Neal's car either, so that's a pretty good shot we've had of the whole look around of Kate's car. I can't see anything there, but we have got that ever consistent Simboys 1-2 at the moment, who are going to hold both lines and force these guys to make it 3 wide to get past them. at some stage, which we've seen them do a lot. Andrew Dyson really wants to get in between them, but that is Aaron Dillon getting down to close that gap, and we've got a crash. That is going to be a caution.
That's series leader. That's series leader in the wall, Justin Witcher.
We have got the caution. I'm trying to get Witcher. I got Jaeger. I got the wrong one.
So remember what I said about you've got to make sure that you're clear in that lane? I don't think Witcher was clear. I think this one might be on Justin from the first look that I had. Second look, see, it's very, very difficult because the first time you see something, it's come from the top lane. There you go. So the first flash I saw, which is tricky when you're looking at a couple of different angles here, is they're in the tri-oval. So remember what I said about them. So effectively the car on the outside's just got a little bit of a run, trying to take it somewhere. And Barry Neal's probably looking to change lanes here. Barry's probably might be starting to check the field up. So there could be a whole host of different things that are actually going on as a part of this. And one of the critical factors is, does the 613 check up? No, he just comes down. He's got a wobble on. Yeah. A little bit of netcode in there, but they would have made contact regardless. So you can effectively ignore the netcode. So
let's go to the gyro. Let's actually go to the roll bar. Let's get a bit of a closer look at this from slow-mo from in the car.
Watch the wheel work here. Watch the wheel work. That's going to be critical.
Yeah.
Just watch how quickly this is going to snap away from Justin.
He's already hit him at this stage, hasn't he?
Yep. Still late.
Yep.
So Dustin's full lock. Now, Justin has got a huge responsibility here when he's pointing at the wall like that. In the position that he's in, he has to slam those brakes on, because if he doesn't, he is going to slide back down the track and he is going to take out the entire field. This has happened at about 5th spot in the queue. There are 30 cars thundering into this, 30 roaring V8 supercars. And if you let that car come down off the wall, all of a sudden there's probably only 15 cars left in this race.
Yeah, look, I think they've done pretty well, both of them, to keep a hold of that and because you can see those brake lights are both firmly on. They're letting the field get sorted out pretty well there.
No. So critically, let's take a look at the pit lane strategy that's come through under this caution. There were all but 4 or 5 cars pit onto that last lap, under the first lap of the caution. Now, Kay Donnelly has come back down. So he has foregone the race lead. They were hedging their bets. They said, I want a little bit of track position. Well, there's no point in taking track position when there's only 6 cars or something that stayed out. That's a big loss. Now he's going to have to come through. And I get a really big feeling, a really strong feeling that some of the relationships that Cabo may have tested over the last couple seasons, they may come out to play tonight. He's one of those very contrasting drivers. You either love him or you hate him. You don't think of him anywhere in the middle. That's great. I think he's a phenomenal personality. I think he's full of drama. He's got so much going on for him, so much talent, so much ability. The problem is he finds his way of annoying other drivers. When you get in and underneath the skin of other drivers, they're not going to give you space. They're not going to give you room. And when you cycle yourself to the back end of the field, this could be disaster for Cabo.
Yeah, there's not going to be any easy moves for him, unfortunately. There's Justin Witcher puts himself in front. He's not letting him. Oh no, it's under caution. He has
under caution.
But he very much put himself there. He wasn't gonna do anything else. I'm just trying to get an outside look here of Witcher's car. All that damage is on the other side. You look here, he looks like he's ready to go for another big race. But the other side, you can see from the front end.
The splitter's not damaged, so I think that's phenomenal. I don't think he had all that much damage. It's the front right corner, so a little bit of damage there. He's not going to get much of an estimation. It's going to be right at the tail end of this when they get back to green. So
yeah, it's unfortunate. It's going to hurt the championship, but you do get a drop round here and there. But look at the side of that car. It's not as bad as it looks. Definitely not as bad as Alan Gill, who's gone back in to get more repairs right now.
Not concerned about the side of the car at all. I'm really, really concerned about that front right corner, right where it hits the splitter, because the splitter's generating a fair bit of downforce for you. At the same time as it's the leading edge of the car, it's punching the hole in the air, and it's not giving you a really good buffer out and around that tire. So he's gonna increase his tire wear to the front right corner through lack of downforce at that corner of the car. and he's just not going to be as quick in a straight line. So two major parts here. That's the loaded side of the car. It's the tyre. You want to be taking wear off when and where you can. So it's going to be tricky.
There we go. Look at this. The two Banner Alliance racing cars side by side. We just had the 1D Wade in YouTube chat actually asking us for a BAR update. They are right next to each other as we get ready to go racing yet again, as Warwick Sharp drops the foot to the floor and gets a big jump with Josh Schultz hopefully slotting into second there, or is holding the... Oh, we've got a car coming out of the pits here. It'll be fine though. Barry Neal has come up behind Warwick Sharp, and Josh Schultz slots down to make it 3 on the front row on the inside line as they stretch the field out. He's got a really good jump, Warwick Sharp. He's really stretched that field out a long way.
So the problem is, though, Wilco, the worst possible thing you could do is actually get a good jump, because if you get a long way out in front, what happens is that allows the cars that are behind you this really good opportunity to get the air and suck back up. So you actually want to get a reasonable launch. You still want to get away quicker than the cars behind you, but you actually want them to stay with you, because if they drop further back, by the time they get to you, the momentum difference is massive.
Yes, it is. You see now, who's that? That's saying Schultz come from nowhere. Come from a long way back to be up the leading Schultz driver of the two in the field right now. You can see them nose to tail there right now as Aiden goes really low across that infield, trying to make the shortest distance around this track possible. He's a master of being up front, so let's see how he goes right now. Quickly, before Warwick Sharp, biggest move of 23 positions, and what's happened? We've lost Cade Donnelly.
Guess what? Guess who I was talking about at the tail end of the town?
Exactly, and he's facing the wrong direction. He will flip it around now. Let's flick back and find out what happened. You heard it from Scotty. Let's see what actually happened.
So it's about, when you're back here, it's about being cautious. It's about learning how to run around people. So car just to his outside, that just not 100% sure which lane he wants to be in. Cade's actually come up. Cade's actually come up there. So that one's actually on Cade. Now there'll be two. What Cade will be thinking is, I'm expecting this car to be tighter against the car that's outside on the fence. So there's a little bit of lack of understanding on where Ash Nezza actually is. But at the same time, Cade's come a lane and a half up off the bottom. He's got to open.
I think they've both done. You look, yeah, Cade's definitely come up. I think Ash comes down at the last minute, but he's still going to hit him.
Does, for sure. But Cade's trying to cross him over. Now, if Ash lifts slightly, Cade slots in, all hunky-dory. But at the same time, Cade's got to open up the corner. So Ash has got to expect that Cade is going to want to come up. So this is one of the ones where actually both drivers are at fault. I would say Cade is slightly more at fault than Ash. But even though on the surface level, you go, oh, well, Cade's come up the track, it's always him. But it's where Ash's position around the track. It's oval racing compared to circuit racing is so different because of the way that the racing lines work. You've got seams as reference markers, which is those black lines you're seeing down the right. There's seams between the laying of the asphalt surface around here. There's a little bit of a lack of grip right on the seam line, but they're really, really good reference points. Where they don't work very well is on tri-ovals, where the cars are moving around on where the best line is.
Okay, so quickly, just out of that, sorry, I've gone to replay again. That's my fault. We are live again. Let's go. I just want to quickly point out that was the poor Aaron Bryan, who had got one of his laps back, was looking to get a second lap back with this next caution, but he was unfortunately involved in that crash, so that will not help him at all. Peter Matson was also hit in that with a ricochet, which I showed the onboard replay of him. But yeah, Ash Nezza and Cade Donnelly, probably the worst wear out of that little incident.
Aaron Dillon now 2 laps down as well, so another Simboys car that's gotten tied up in things. I would say Aaron's probably the next car on the scene immediately behind Cade Donnelly in that incident. It's just sort of had nowhere really to go.
Yeah.
So from when you analyze this, and Aaron Bryan's got a difficult one to sort of analyze if his night's sort of done, I would want to still sit down and break this down from him, because there's actually a lot of laps of interesting information that you can sort of look at. From Aaron's perspective, what's he got to do? What's his responsibility? Well, he's 3 laps down. If he's got one of his laps back, he's back to 2 laps down. What's his biggest responsibility? Not lose another lap, not get involved in anything. If those cautions keep coming, you're going to get those laps back. You're going to get yourself back to the lead lap and give yourself every opportunity to go racing. What he's not really done, he's been you can't hedge your bets in that situation. You've got two ways to go. You either go balls to the wall, get to the lead, run up there and steal your lap back, which is incredibly difficult to do, or you chill out at the back and you see what happens. We're under 20 laps into the race, 30 laps into the race at this point in time, so he probably just needed to hang back a little bit more. He's got the skill, he's got the talent, he just needs to allow himself to get back into the race, and he just hasn't given himself that opportunity. It's really difficult because there's a couple of cars at all times to just take a look at and go, I don't want to race around this guy, I don't like the way he drives, I don't like his car positioning, I'm just not happy with that. Ashneza, generally, for me, Ashneza and I never really drove the same way, so it was very difficult for me to be around him on track, which is, I think, what Cade was thinking, and I think what Aaron was thinking. Different driving styles, different ways you go about it, but it's one of those ones that I kind of want to avoid where I can. So he was always one of the ones that I just tried to get a little bit more aggressive around so I could clear him quicker, which allowed me to get on with my nights. So Aaron's in a difficult position there. A lot of analysis that can go, even with 30 laps worth of racing, you can go, oh yeah, I missed the start, but it's not about missing the start, it's about how you respond to that. If he responds in the right ways, right now he's back to 1 lap down, he's in the game.
Some interesting things I want to look at while we go into the last lap beforehand. I want to show the last pit stop length. So here we go, it cycles through. There's a few of these guys down the back of the field which have probably added more fuel, I guess, at some stage, but they're only got 6.7 second pit stop times, or 7 or 8.
A splash. Effectively a splash, a couple laps worth of splash, yeah. So
the people who did 18, is there any chance that they're not, it's too early to do tyres, so they just didn't put as much in last time, or they stopped again on the way around, I guess?
So the guys that have done 18, so the problem is it was under the last caution that they pit, and that was on lap 24. So they've done a reasonable sort of stretch. There would be a big enough gap in the tank, whereas the guys that have just come down probably came down under the previous caution.
Yeah,
they were probably already
already
at the tail end of the pack. So this time when they've come back down, it's only been 8 laps or so, but they're already at the tail end of the pack. Like,
it doesn't matter, yeah, I understand
that. What the reasoning is if you come down pit lane, is you're giving up track position to gain strategy position.
Oh, the Roffy's jumping up high on the outside. You can't do that. Oh, you can pass around the outside. Yes, you can. I got that wrong. Pass before the line, though. That'll be interesting.
So you have to pass to the outside. You are allowed to pass before the start-finish line to the outside only, and you cannot. This league also has a subsequent rule where you cannot change lanes prior to the start-finish line. So if you're in the bottom lane, and you can go to the outside of your lane, but you cannot join the top lane until you pass the start-finish line. What's that's preventing is people getting a jump start and trying to jump around in the grooves, but if you're just passing to the outside of your lane, you're not coming down, trying to get to the low lane. Once you cross the start-finish line, a little bit changes. The reasoning for that is the same thing, Sydney traffic, once again, you don't want to, when do you have the most cars close together at high speed disparities is on restarts. So It's about safety. It's about going, yes, I can understand that everyone that I'm around right now is going to hold their lane until after the start-finish.
Sorry.
Which one, though? Which one?
It was the back one. So that's
I think it was Kim.
Kim. Yeah, Kim got just... I was going back. We got Middle Spit in Facebook having a chat. They're here for Craig and Kim. But yeah, Kim just got just a bit of a bump and got pushed up into that wall. He shouldn't have too much of damage. There's a bit of work to the sponsors, unfortunately. Otherwise, too bad. But Dyson back there is cutting his way through the field as well as he comes from the back of the field.
Big shout out to the Middle Split Racing guys too. I mean, they've all sort of been learning. They're all circuit racers. None of these guys from Middle Split Racing are actually oval enthusiasts. When you have a look at a lot of the other teams, they're big oval teams. Now they do a little bit of circuit racing on the side for a little bit of fun, just keep themselves going. And then you've got a whole swath of guys who are just V8 supercars specialists. Take a look at Warwick Sharp. Big V8 supercar enthusiast, loves his V8 supercars, just wants to get himself more into endurance racing. He's trying to take more of an involved role within oval racing, really lift those skill sets, because it's a different set of skills, but it's a very, very important set of skills for endurance racing. It's actually oval racing, because you learn car positioning, you learn car tactics, you learn drafting tactics, all critical if you're going to race at somewhere like Le Mans. So a couple of things, within there, they've been successful. Craig's had some great rounds. He's had some very unlucky rounds, to be perfectly honest. He's one of the drivers I think we will see on a podium before the end of the season eventually. I just want to see him make sure that he's still focused on consistency and not pushing himself too hard. As he just relaxes, gets himself into these races, he won't tense up on the wheel, he'll save some tyre, he'll be up there very soon. And it's coming for Craig, and I think he knows that too.
Yeah, I was hoping to keep Craig on that as all you were talking to, but up front, it was getting a bit nasty. They were nose to tail. There was lots of rubbing racing happening in there, and these boys are 39 laps into 134 laps, and they're racing for sheep stations already. But Jai Schultz had a big cut down across the field to take the front of the grid away from Hayden Schultz, and now you see him and Barry Neal leading the two lines at the moment. They're going awfully close to that wall up there, but they're doing a great job of it. Just a little bit further back, Andrew Dyson, that was leading before, is pushing his way up the field. He's going down fairly low on a few lines. He's sitting there right behind Dylan O'Shea, who is also trying to make his way up at the moment. Kim hasn't been affected too much, just lost probably about 7 or 8, maybe, yeah, 7 or 8 positions there. He's back in the middle of this pack as well, with the Noddy Tompkins super aerodynamic car just ahead of Steve Hall as well, one of the fan favourites. Getting his way through.
The thing about Noddy though is, I mean, if he was trying to take his luggage, if he's going to take that car on holidays, well, the luggage is probably about 100 kilometres back up the road now, so
doesn't matter. He's going to get there quick. That's all he's worried about. It's racing, Scotty. He's going to get there quick. Doesn't matter how you get there.
Oh look, but if you're going to Chicago, I mean, you're going on a holiday. You're not just going to Chicago to go racing. You're going for a holiday, mate.
Yeah, probably. I guess so. Just a quick update on the field. Kate Donnelly has retired, so has Tad Pod Maxfield. Alan Gill never got out of the pit lane as yet. He's still going for 12 minutes on the box. Aaron Bryan is also in the pit bay still. Everyone else, so we've got Aaron Dillon, Peter Jones, 2 laps down. Aaron Dillon is the leader of those two, so he is the one up for the lucky dog at the moment if he can hold that position. If there is another safety car coming up at any time soon. Back through on the update of coming through the field, Aaron Dyson's making his way back up. He's just got a couple ahead of Dylan O'Shea now, bordering on the top 10 as he moves himself into 12th right now. And we go back up the front, and I get back to the differential on the timing tower. Oh, it's all happening, Gotti, as it always does. We just haven't even had a chance to talk about the championship table at the moment. But Sim boys are really pushing their way up the front here. What do you expect tank-wise on fuel? If we run green, the stint, how long do you reckon the stint will be for fuel on this track? Any ideas? I don't know if Scotty's with me anymore. That could be an issue.
I bet you can hear me about now.
Yeah, I can hear you now, mate.
Yeah. You know what's great is microphones that have cables on a maximum length that sort of tend to unseat themselves from time to time. Anyway,
that happens.
Such is life.
So pit length of fuel, what do you reckon? What are you looking at for these guys?
62 laps generally, 60 in that range of about 62 laps. They're pretty good here at the series, Australasian Supercars eSeries. It's making it tricky. They generally try and make it such that it's 1.5 stops to the end of the race or so. Obviously going to vary a little bit based upon full throttle time in track length, as well as, you know, how often you're in the pack and how much fuel you can. So if you're chilling out probably at the tail end of this pack where you're getting huge runs, or even in the middle of the pack, you can actually extend the fuel by anywhere up to 5 laps. So you know, in a circuit race where you go, oh, look, I can probably get 1 extra lap of fuel out of this thing. Well, they're only 30-second laps, so it's quite possible.
Okay, so I've got this up now. We're going to just hold the front of the pack here. As Andrew Dyson, I've just noticed, is in this front pack. This boy knows how to steer a wheel. We've called, I think he's had to interview him the last 3 or 4 NASCAR Thunder races, unfortunately, because he's always been in the podium. But let's have a look at this field. Just quick shout out, My Private Seller is the sponsor of the series, so go check them out. Pagnian Esports? No, was it
Pagnian Imports? Pagnian Imports.
Yep. You've got United, those people as well. There's a whole heap of sponsors here. We'll get them in a sec. But let's go. Justin Witcher was leading this series by 15 points. That is an issue right now for him. Raymond Yeager, his partner in crime, was sitting 15 points back from him. Troy Davidson is a further 10 points back on Raymond Yeager. Gary Wellman, who was having a pretty good race tonight right now. He's sitting a couple points back there as well. Todd Maxfield, who's not having a very good race tonight. He's out. He's sitting in 5th, equal with Nicholas Walsh. Kay Donnelly, who done a really good job, got himself up 10 positions this week to get into 7th. Ahead of Craig Roffey, Brad Fenley, and Adam Malone. Now, Brad Fenley's not here tonight. Craig Roffey's having a good race, but Kay Donnelly is not. He's out. Adam Malone, 10th. Jai Schultz in 11th. Jamie Nankervis, who's not here, 12th, and 13th is Aiden Schultz. That's probably as far down as I can go with that.
So critically, there's a couple drivers that I was sort of just having a look through as you read those names out. And actually, whilst you say, yeah, look, Scott, there's a couple of these guys that are actually having phenomenal nights. One of the guys you actually said that isn't having a great night, he actually is. He's lurking under the radar a little bit. Just done some looking down through the field. The first car that pitted under that most recent caution, have a guess, Troy Davison.
Troy Davison, there you go. He's sitting there. Look at that.
Actually, my apologies, it's Dyson. It is Dyson, but of the names that you read off,
and Troy Davison are the top 3.
Davison, I would say, is lurking, and I would say is in fuel save mode. I'm looking at Andrew Dyson here. Has got nothing to lose. Why? He's missed too many rounds to be theoretically in contention for a championship. So he's out here for single race podiums and single race victories. That brings a unique mindset to it. Whilst a few of the other guys will sort of chop and change. They go, look, do I want to biffo on for a 3rd place? They'll probably say, no, I'll take the 4th every day of the week. That's good points. Daiso, what does he care about a 3rd place? What does he care about a 4th place? He doesn't. He just wants to be on the podium. So expect that to be relevant. And he's the leading car with the most amount of fuel. Now, he's not fuel saving, so his advantage over everyone else that pit under that most recent caution is next to none. But that could be theoretically important as well, because if everyone else pits, he'll be the only car without a draft partner.
We just saw Craig Roffey setting some sparks up into the crowd there as he took a bit of the wall off as well. I'm pretty sure it was very high. I've lost a few positions there as well. But yes, you're right on everything you said. And I just realised that Brad Fenley is racing tonight. He's just down the field in 31st at the moment. So keep an eye out for him. He's just sitting there having a bit of a relax. He'll jump through the field as we see the 777 of Dwayne Pierce jumping to the lead and rubbing up against Barry Neal. Barry Neal will not be happy with that. And the Sim boys can't be happy with that, because that's now they're blocked in both lanes.
To be perfectly honest, I really don't think Barry Neal's made a ton of friends this season.
No.
He's had... Barry Neal comes out and he leads a lot of laps and he puts his wheel down there. He's very racy. You can't... He's not dirty, but you can't take an inch away from Barry Neal. You cannot. He will not give you any margin whatsoever. And that's led to him coming to blows with a few of the other cars. Hint, hint, Sim Boys tends to be the other team who does the driving exactly the same. Now, have a look at Raymond Yeager, another car lurking beneath the surface. He's just got a little bit missing during this first 50 laps of the race. Look at where he is right now. So different cars, different strategies, different mindsets. I really like the way that the Pinnacle Esports boys set themselves up, because this is exactly the way that I would be driving, to be perfectly honest with you. Race management. What's the point in being in Barry Neal's position out here and leading 70 laps? It's a draft pack race. You're going to get run down on the last lap if you're not careful.
Wow.
Jim Listen thought about it.
Finlay is rubbing the back. Let's see if he did leave a mark on there. He did not. He's gonna give it very close again. Christopher Finlay was what I think I was about to read out, because I didn't get much further down the field. But yeah, he's hovering around that 13th, 14th, 15th mark in the championship as he leaves a mark on the side of Barry Neal's car yet again.
This stamp on the side of your car, proudly brought to you by Sim Boys.
Is there a ticket? Are they playing bingo? Is he trying to mark all four sides of Barry Neal's car in front now?
I was gonna say more along the lines of who's the driver that Barry Neal's gonna get annoyed with most tonight? So.
We will see. But it's interesting. If we had Dylan and Donnelly up here before at the front of the pack, they drop back. Oh, there's some blinking cars in this pack. I think it's Pierce.
It is. It's Priest.
Sorry,
Priest. Yep.
Yeah. That's not good, as we are coming up to some lapped cars as well, which is going to throw.
And this is Gio actually. So this is a wounded car for sure. So Gio's going to have to do his utter best, which is stick in the high line.
And he's
done
22 laps down, so he finally came out of the pits after.
This is something I might mention to the Pinnacle Esports guys that run the series as well after this race as well. It's not actually, now that we've moved to pre-qualifying, I'd actually really like to see a minimum speed rule applied, whereby what's a car that's 20 laps down off the pace circulating doing for the race? Nothing good, really. The ruling that NASCAR run with in real life is you have, I believe it's 6 minutes to service your car, get back up to speed, and you must complete a lap at a minimum set speed within those 6 minutes. Within this sort of a realm, it's very, very difficult to do because all the series admins are actually racing out here as well. It's one of the best parts about it is that they are competitors. They are seeing through things through a competitor's eyes. At the same time, they don't just take their own sides in incidents, and the series admins are actually some of the cleanest racers within the league as well. So they're very open about their decision making. Whether or not it's time to institute a minimum speed rule, because have a look at Gio. If Gio bounces off that wall there and comes down, well, you lose another big chunk of a 40-car field. I have seen it at races in the past. It's a respect and a courtesy thing. At the same time, Alan Gio has earned the opportunity by pre-qualifying into this server to go out there and turn laps. So it's a unique thing. It doesn't matter which direction the series admin go, just that they're consistent with it. That's about it. And these guys have got a unique opportunity now with, again, pre-qualifying for the first time ever. Field sizes hitting that max limit for the first time ever. That's never happened before. And now that presents its own unique set of administration challenges.
Just quickly on that, I just want to point out that I think when we did the ANSCAR Daytona, I think it was 80%. Was definitely a lap time. They gave us was 52 or 53 seconds, whatever it was. If you were lapping slower than that, you were deemed a hazard and you were going to get penalised if you stayed out there. Alan Gilles' last lap was a 32.617. Now compare that with Barry Neal's 31.3. He's a second, 1.3 off the pace, which is...
I'm going to do the math on it. So
it's
what'd you say?
80%. It's about 85 to 87. There you go. I'll give you that with my head.
Let's talk about the different styles of those sort of rule, because you also previously had the Formula One qualifying rule. To actually make attendance for a race, you had to qualify within 108% of the leader's time. So you took the leader's time, you found 8% of it, you added it to their time. If you weren't within that, you were gone. Why that wouldn't work within ovals is because the lap times is too short, so it needs to be more than 8% in terms of qualifying eligibility in that, right? But then how do you apply that to the race? Because a qualifying time is very different to a race time as well, particularly in that mindset because you've got aero wash. These guys here, they do have aero wash. It's a big part of that, but they make up for it with the draft package as well. So again, unique circumstances that some research needs to be done. Stick a number on it. Talk to everyone, go, yep, is this a good number? Is this something that we want to institute? Because I can guarantee you right now, just some of the circumstances that we've seen, particularly when we go to, again, some more of the super speedway, we're basically at cookie cutter, mega draft style tracks at the moment, pretty much week in, week out. So effectively, if we go to somewhere like Daytona, we've got 3 lanes of traffic. No, that's a good move. That's actually a really good move. That's a great move.
Ruben Phelps is one of those guys who's come up 3 spots in the field.
I would be flipping Ruben the bird right about now if we were sitting in traffic, but it's a great move.
It was just the suddenness of it, but there was definitely room there, which is good to see.
That's
Ruben.
how you got to make moves. That is exactly how you got to make moves. It's not all the time. You don't do that all the time for sure. He had a gap, and if he is not short and concise with how he slams into that lane, that move gets closed off and he can't make it. He then has to build another lap to get back into that position, and that opportunity may not present itself again, let alone if he misses that opportunity and the car ahead of him has to check up for some reason, he loses 5 spots, and then he's got to work back through. So it's about timing, and this is exactly why I put it towards Sydney traffic, is because it's exactly what it is.
So quickly, we've got Lift Roy, Lift Shervo. Yes, Roy's falling back through the pack. Just for those, he's off the main pack. He really needs a caution.
That's fine.
Now. Andrew Ritchie, is on his own as well, going around the pack. Craig Roffey, though, doing a great job as Raymond Yeager gets up and takes the lead of this race, technically, until Barry Neal gets a pass on the outside. I want to quickly point out, we are getting to that point of the race. 44 laps, 45 laps these guys have been racing for. Next 20 laps, we needed a caution. We're going to see some green flag pit stops.
Josh Schultz is already in.
There you go, Josh Schultz, yes. Che Mello as well is in there as well. So this is where it's going to start happening, because we're at that mark. 70 laps gives us around that 63. We've got about 65 laps to the end now. You can pit now and not have to worry about it, which means if there's a yellow later on, yes, you can get your track position back. We've got 41 seconds for transit time of the pits, which means you are going to go a lap down by doing a pit stop. That's the other problem.
You're going to go 1.5. So if you're already half a lap down, say like Roy Clark and those guys that are way off the tail end of the pack, you are going to go 2 laps down. Let alone bringing the car back up to racing speed again is probably worth another half lap. So it's effectively nearly 1 3/4, 1.9, 1.8, 1.9 laps down to make a full stop. That's a full stop. So
trying to work out Che Mello's issue right now. He's got a 3-second box time, but he's got a 1:48 transit time of the pit lane. So I don't know what's actually happened there.
I would say he's come in. He's had an error with some sort of button or something not working. He's jumped when the car's actually sat in its box. You can actually jump out of the car, reconfigure some controls. So if he's had a wheel malfunction or something, he might pop the wheel off the old quick release and pop it back on to get the electronics going again. Yep. Something like that. That will actually potentially, on the timing screens, result in that.
Okay,
cool. Potentially.
It's a big stop anyway. He's gone 4 laps down now, which is a problem for him. Going forward, Steve Hall's in the pits, as we just saw, making a green flag stop. Adam Malone is heading in as well. It's all starting to happen with that magical figure. People wanting to get to the end now.
We're half race distance.
Yep.
We're halfway through. Half race distance was 5 laps ago. So if any of these guys were struggling on tyres, now Barry has led a lot of laps, so he should be better on tyres as Roy Clark makes his way in. So Barry's had a lot of clean air.
Miller in again.
I would say he's received an unsafe pit exit or a speeding in pit lane on the way out.
I think he's missed his box and he's just gone. Something's happened there, the last stop. Anyway, let's not worry about this. Roy Clark almost missed his pit entry at all completely, and is in the box as well. Adam Malone's heading out 30 seconds on the pit lane. Barry Neal is coming in right now, our leader of the race, or one who's been in there, and that's Christopher Finlay behind him as well. Let's have a look.
Chris Finlay burned off his tyres and started to drift back, so that's been... for me, Chris Finlay's biggest weakness has always been his ability to conserve tyres. He's, he used to not be there in terms of the pace. His pace has now come up, and his tyre conservation, normally when your pace comes up, your tyre conservation goes down. He's actually kept it quite level. So that says to me he's improved both pace and tyre conservation at the same time, but it's been covered off by the pace.
Ruben Phelps knows where the back of his car is. Wow, that was close to Aiden Schultz's front nose. But he's doing a great job. You said it's a good move, and he's probably frustrating Aiden
that one's got no room for error on it, though. So that one's a little bit more frustrating. I would definitely be a little annoyed in Aiden's shoes, but again, look, I'm mostly... Look, if I liked everyone that was out in Sydney traffic, I wouldn't have any issues driving everywhere. I don't drive anywhere.
That's it. So, quick update here. Don't forget, you've got Andrew Dice at the front of this pack. He is about 7 laps better off for pit stop, as we see Christopher Finlay coming out for fuel-wise than most of the other cars around him. Him and Dylan O'Shea, they went that extra bit of fuel, so they can go for another 7 laps. You've also got Troy Davison, as you mentioned before, making his way back up as one of the other sim boys just peels off to go into the pit stops. But Troy Davison's got an extra couple of laps in his thing.
Ray Yeager's coming in. Ray Yeager will be in this type.
Okay. Just looking at Justin Witch has worked his way up. He's actually stopped an extra time as well. He's got a little bit of extra fuel in there. Trying to find out who that was. So there is plenty of cars. Noddy comes in. Aiden Schultz is in. We've got Nicholas Walsh is in. It's all happening down pit lane right now. Kim Roffey came in. We've got more people slowing up. Like you said, Raymond Yeager, Greg Spencer, Gary Wellman. No, Greg Spencer. Look at them all. That's what we're going to see. This lane, this camera here. It is all happening on pit lane right now. That's pit lane. There is green flag stopping for just about half the field right now as they all jump out. No mistakes. This is what you want. No mistakes right here, because if you go...
Tell you what, Nigel Patton and Sean Hart, what a phenomenal job on fuel saving. Because here they come now. They've gone, what, 2 extra laps on everyone else?
Yeah, I reckon we've called Sean Hart for that before too. Master of fuel saving, we're going to call him.
Look, he's done a good job. He's won a race already this season, hasn't he? So
maybe
he's been on the podium. We definitely talked to him this year. That's the important part.
That's it. You see all the front crew now, all these cars that have stopped that extra time.
Oh, Richie, he's trying his hardest. He's probably pulled up a little bit too soon, as evidenced by Aaron Dillon sailing past him on the pit lane entry. But
he may have
at the end of the day,
a little bit of time, but that's okay. Andrew Ritchie's fine. He's got plenty of time up his sleeves.
He's lost a little bit of time, and he hasn't got himself a penalty.
That's it. As we still see Andrew Dyson out in front. Now, Ruben Phelps is the leader of the cars that are a lap down right now. He's here.
Has Dyson? I reckon Dyson's got a penalty for that.
Let's have a look how long he is on pit lane. But he has come in now. Dylan O'Shea now takes the lead of the race with Troy Davison, as we got another car peeling off there as well. Stevie Dub.
Hey,
oh, Dylan
what
O'Shea
a nightmare!
A bump from.
Oh, and swings back up high and wide as well. Oh.
Dylan's in with another Sim Boys car coming in behind him as well. It's all happening. Troy Davison. So this will almost get us back to where we should be with knowing what's going on. Andrew Dyson is in here. So he has been on the box now for 24 seconds, 25 seconds. He's going 34 is what everyone else was doing. Currently 31.
Should be dropping any second now.
There he goes.
Okay, no penalty.
No penalty.
Good job.
He
pushed the margins perfectly.
Spun those wheels coming out, though, I can tell you what. V8 Supercars, Australian Motorsport, whatever they're called, wouldn't be happy with that at all. But let's go back to Ruben Phelps, who's now got the lead of the race. Oh, no, Justin Winter is still currently out there. But so is Dylan O'Shea are in the pit, Troy Davison. So the lead car actually driving right now is Ruben Phelps with Justin Witcher.
Ruben
has not stopped. He has stopped.
Ruben Phelps had a 5 seconds shorter pit stop than most of 5 to 10 seconds shorter. So 2 things. He's either short pit, which means he hasn't filled the car all the way up. Now, 2 reasons he might be doing that. If he hasn't taken tyres under that pit stop, now remember V8 Supercars tyres are covered off under a full fuel, so you do not need to sit static once the fuel's done and refit those tyres.
Do you think he's gone tyres to the end? He's not going to use his set of tyres? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I would say, so in my understanding, there is one more stop before the end of the race. Now, if that stop happens on the green flag, Phelps is going to have to pay that out. But if him and Witcher stay locked together like this, they're going to be working fast, because it's only 2 of them working together. They're not chopping and changing, searching for a little bit of track position. So this could be a little bit of a masterstroke. They are that 5 to 10 seconds ahead of the rest of the field, which is the margin that they've got to make up. Now, having said that, if Phelps and Witcher haven't taken tyres yet, they are sitting pretty to have really fast cars at the tail end of the race. Now, if Darren McKenzie and Schultz and Dyson nailed that group there, that's that first chase pack from 5th place, 3rd and 4th locked together, and then you've got 5th back to 10th are sort of all together all at the same time. If they start making huge inroads on these leaders, or even just, I would be looking at 2 to 3 tenths a lap, is probably about the tyre fall off at this stage, depending upon how these guys have been driving it. That says to me that Phelps has still got a set of tyres up his sleeve. If he can hang on to those, get a late race caution, or even he is going to just be able to weave back and forth throughout the lanes, do whatever he wants. The other option is, if he has taken tyres under this last stop, he hasn't put as much fuel in. He will have to put more fuel in on the next stop, but the car weighs less. And the most heavy load period is this first sort of 10 laps when you're really heavy on the fuel tank on a new set of tyres. So that way is another way to save a little bit of tyre wear. The problem is, he got a caution, he's going to go right to the back because he's got to add more fuel than everyone else.
I want to just quickly point out, I don't know what Barry Neal's pit lap time there was. It was 15 seconds. That's a mistake. But I 100% think these front 4 have not taken tyres. They're all the only ones that are under 33 seconds for a pit stop, but they're all traveling that 31.3 to 31.1, as you can see on the timing board there, which is almost half a second slower than some of these guys in this chasing pack. Now, I know they're working on their own, but
I would say O'Shea, the cars that you're not really going to be able to tell is probably Ruffy, Spencer, O'Shea, Priest, all of those guys, because they're in a huge pack. Dyson may not have taken tyres with that sort of a lap time. Mackenzie and Schultz may not have taken tyres either, just with their lap time. So they've lost a little bit of a chunk, but that's because there's been sort of no traffic to pull them along. Big issue.
Because I'll have a look here. So let's quickly pull this one up. So we'll hide the previous lap, and we're going to show last pit stop. So you can see there what I'm talking about. 22 seconds, 23 seconds, 27 seconds.
That's fuel. That's all fuel. Yep. It's the tyres. The tyres don't take as long as the fuel, so okay. They're covered off. I'm not concerned. If you're with this style of racing, if tyres are keeping you static in the pit lane, your race is over.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
interesting. It's all happening. This is what we wanted. Some crazy racing. As these two out front, that's a lapped car behind them. Darren McKenzie trying to use, he's basically fallen back to the pack here.
So D-Mac's done either one of two things. Either he has not taken tyres, or he took tyres a lot earlier on, and now he's in, he's basically a sitting duck. So,
but yeah, there's I wonder if he just did short fuel and he's come back to the pack on purpose to try and get some tow there, because he was out on his own. He did have someone with him. Who was the person who was with him that's not there anymore? No. But he's now back with the pack.
It was one of the Schultzes, so it might have been Aiden Schultz, might have been Jai Schultz.
Because he's got the 27 pit stop as well.
So Jai, I tell you what, Jai would have come back down to the pit lane. I'd say Jai has saved his fresh set of tyres. Has he just recently? No, he's in P9.
No,
okay.
No. He's on 24 laps in his stint. He's not going to be able to make it to the end. Ooh,
no, nobody is.
Yeah,
nobody is.
You said 62 laps.
No, I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong. I thought I was right.
50, yeah, there's probably going to be another stop. You are right. Look at that. My brain is not working correctly tonight.
So if Jai has saved an extra set of tyres, pit now. Pit now. If you've got that extra set of tyres and you haven't taken them yet, you want to leave yourself as long as possible to really take advantage of them. So if I'm in that boat, I'm coming now. Why? Because I want to get out there, I want to get aggressive, and I want to thunder on to the end. If I want to really squeeze those fresh set of tyres for everything they're worth for the longest period of time, I want to shorten as much as I possibly can the time I'm on those older tyres. So I would be coming right now.
Yeah, that's fair call. I'm just trying to work out. So, well, how many laps are we from the end? We're 42. And you reckon there was a 52? Someone made it 52 laps?
I think we're in the realm of it's sort of, I would say in about 5 laps time, I think the fuel window is going to open to the end of the race. If you're full burn. So
I'm just trying to think. Justin Witcher's 12 laps hold of this stint, right? There's 40 laps to go in this race. If it's 50 laps is where we're looking at, he's right on the bubble of being able to make it.
May have had a plan. But remember, he's short pit too. Ruben Phelps, I think, just said he might be coming in. Yeah, Ruben Phelps is in. So Phelps has gone, yep, I can now make it to the end of the race. I'm coming in.
There you go. So I
And
wonder
that
if
also
this...
says he's got tyres to come.
I reckon we're going to look now. Let's keep an eye on him. Let's see him go up on the jacks. Won't be able to tell, but let's watch it happen anyway. We need pit crews. Come on. iRacing for V8s. That was Schultz going past as well, wasn't it?
This stop needs to be hotter than a hot toddies.
Go hot toddies.
I love that. I absolutely love the hot toddies,
Oh,
Brenny.
that's
It's
another
fantastic.
Southern Stars Racing, Southern Cross Racing team member in as well.
So they're all coming in. Strategies
Adam
are starting
Malone.
to pan out.
Yeah. And there we go. He's off. How long do you reckon it takes for the tyres? Wouldn't matter, would it?
It doesn't matter. It's all about the fuel. So
So that was Witcher. No, that was Ruben Phelps, right? That was 22 seconds on the pit bay again. Adam Malone is out. He spent 15 seconds on pit lane. So he is now 8 seconds back from Ruben Phelps. Ruben Phelps theoretically was leading this race. So Justin Witcher now out on his own. What does he do? He's got number 25 with him, which is everyone's mate, Steve Hall. Getting some good coverage right now. Get the Steve Hall fan club out. So that's not going to hurt him too much, but he's 7 seconds ahead of Barry Neal, which is a good little window. I thought it was only 5 seconds before.
So critically, couple things here. By Ruben Phelps pitting, he's gotten himself away from Justin Witcher. So that means that Justin Witcher hasn't got any draft support. He hasn't got anyone pushing him along, making him run harder, making him run faster. So he's got no one really improving his lap time. So all he can do to improve his lap time is run the best possible lap that he can. That's not going to work in terms of a cookie cutter style oval race, which is also another reason that Ruben Phelps wanted to pit. He thought that he spotted a great sort of gap in traffic where he can fall into. I don't think it hasn't worked out the way that he wants. He's now in a gap of traffic on his own. But again, if he's got these tyres, it comes down to these lap times. If his lap times are stunning at this point in time, if he is rip-roaring around this track, he's going to race up on this next pack in front of him. The next pack in front of him will just pit. So he's just got clean track in front of him. He may get... he may have screwed the pooch out of this one just by landing without a dance partner.
Let's have a look here. Let's get his final lap time up. Why have I got the
31.198.
race is over on my...
It's not. It's definitely not over.
I'm just looking at the timing screen. Everyone went checkered flag on my timing screen, so I don't know what's going on there. I'm a little bit confused.
We've still got 50 minutes on the race. So yeah. Oh, look. When things break, they break properly, don't they? They don't just break for halves.
It's not updating anything. I'm not updating new times because it's got 109 for Ruben's last lap time as well.
Have a look at the gaps as well in the timing column on the left. So nothing's changed. It's locked it in. Race results have now been locked in.
There's not much I can do here except for try and reset, I guess. But the race is green. That's all I can go with. Positions are moving. Anyway, I can't tell you what's going on. Justin Witch is leading this race. He's got Stephen Hall behind him. Coming up on, is that Adam Malone as well? No, that's O2. That is Darren McKenzie. That's an interesting spot because D-Mac was right up there as well at one stage. So those two finding each other.
Well, that's critical
apart, though. They're a lap
for the
apart.
overall race is because Witch is still yet to come down and do his splash. D-Mac has come down for his splash of fuel. D-Mac is a long way out ahead of Ruben Phelps.
He's actually 2 laps down if Witcher gets past him, which is going to be vital if we get a caution here at any stage. If Witcher can get past D-Mac, that puts him 2 laps down. As we just
But Witcher at the same time wants a drafting buddy. And
yes.
So you can see Adam Malone is trying his absolute best to not offer as much draft as he possibly can, because all the time in the world that he makes up for Justin Witcher, ruins his own race if he's got shots at a podium at the tail end of this thing. Remember, these guys have got teammates as well. If they want to start assaulting the Everest that is currently Justin Witcher's points total, then they can't support him in any way, shape or form. So
I'm completely lost here. Our broadcasting software is not changing. Oh, hold on. It's not giving me anything. Everything I need to know where pit stops are happening are not happening. Lengths are not happening here. As you can see, the
circulating at the moment, so we're actually okay.
The differential on the timing board, I don't know. Do I reboot it? Is it happening to yours as well or not?
No, no. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm running different software, so no, mine's all good. Still updating. I can tell you the race is still logging. Cars are still tracking laps. So.
Okay, let's see if I can reboot this. Sorry, everyone. No, I got to kill this. There we go. We've just lost some stuff for the moment. Everyone, hold on, hold on, hold on. We'll get it back here. You were running blind anyway because the info that was there was useless.
This is, ladies and gentlemen, if you've ever wondered what running in an endurance race feels like, when all of a sudden the car just, I don't know, a piece of electrical equipment stops functioning. You're in the middle of a race and the battery's no longer taking in charge. The alternator's not working. This is literally what it feels like. You feel helpless. You're trying to do all you possibly can to keep your race alive, keep everything going. You just nothing is under your control. Pull into the pit lane. Have you tried turning it off and on again? All your favorite little IT ticks and tricks that you possibly can. And yep, that's just racing sometimes. That's just how it goes. And have a look at Malone as well. He is starting to give up on the fact that he has to give some draft assistance to Witcher, but he's not giving him any quarter.
That's D-Mac, not Malone. Just out of interest.
D-Mac, yeah, look. Yeah, it's definitely D-Mac. You're right. Doesn't matter. One of them.
We're back. I've got all my information, except the stick legs 106 laps for all these guys at the moment. That's impressive. Well done.
Close enough. Yeah.
But we have got the timing tower working again, which is the main thing. Witcher is out in front. 6.5 seconds. We've dropped a second to back to Barry Neal at the moment, who is chasing. And I can tell you, look at that car behind him, Raymond Yeager. Raymond Yeager's pushing him along, but maybe I wouldn't be. But I guess Raymond's racing for his race as well.
Yeah, so Ray in this instance, they'll be communicating. They do talk to each other. The teamwork between the Pinnacle Sports boys is absolutely on point. They work incredibly well together. So they will be communicating and saying, you know, I'm pushing along here. This is what's happening in terms of my race. But at the same time, if Ray's not here and he's not pushing, somebody else would be.
Yes.
So Ray, you want to be in the track position part of this battle for the main reason that if anything happens, you benefit from it. If you try and go for the track position and you try and go for the track position a lap too late, that's 5 spots that you're not going to get potentially back up on that one lap alone, let alone each subsequent lap you would have been further ahead, you would have been further up the field, you would have more options available to you. So Justin Witcher will now peel off and run down pit lane, and this becomes for the lead of the race.
I just want to go on board with Raymond Yeager. I just want to hear how hard his foot's down on that throttle. He's 100% not down on this throttle at all. Let's go to Barry Neal. No, it sounds pretty similar. I just thought he's going to be mad fuel saving, because that way he's not pushing Barry Neal as hard, which is helping Justin Witcher out, but also helping him out when he gets into the pit lane. But let's have a look at Justin Witcher, where he's going to pop out. Compared to Ruben Phelps is the key right now.
Yep, that's the big part about it. And again, Raymond Yeager's actually got control of the pack and how fast that pack runs. The leader of that pack doesn't control how fast the pack is. In a draft pack situation, it's always the second or third car in line that controls the speed of the pack.
Justin Witcher is coming back out on the track now. Ruben Phelps is coming around behind him. That's Tristan in the view right now. Let's go on the gearbox of Justin Witcher. That's not really going to show. It's streets ahead of Ruben Phelps.
4.5 seconds, yep.
So that is a huge gain for him. He did only a 20-second pit stop time in the box. So I think, I haven't got the data now, but I'm pretty sure Rubens was up around the 22, 23 mark. So that is a good win for him. He has track position now. He's the lead car a lap down. So if everything goes wrong now, he's still good in a good position.
From my information, the transit time through pit lane from end to end was 3 seconds longer for Ruben Phelps. However, he's, I believe, more than that behind. So Witcher has gained time on him.
He definitely has. And that's interesting because he was only out, like I said, with D-Mac, and that was it. And they worked really well together.
But the difference was that Phelps didn't have anyone. That's the difference, yeah.
Yep, you are completely right. Yes.
Steve Hall's just come on the radio. He's coming into the box this time by. So
I've just got instant kills 92 saying the timing tower is still broken.
Yeah, look,
not.
we're getting gap updates sporadically at the tail end of every lap, so it is. Yeah, it is actually. He's correct. Justin Witcher is no longer in the lead of the race. Oh my word!
Where is it?
Good evening, Mr. Kills. How are you as well? He's another one of my buddies who's just won his first ever IndyCar official race over the last week. So see him.
Updating on my end. I can see that it's fine on my end.
But the display is no longer feeding into the broadcasting software. Yeah.
Not getting to OBS. So I'm going to quickly go to live and let's cut that one in. No. I'm going to have to kill NDI and start that again.
Ladies and gentlemen,
There's,
technical difficulties.
That should be better now.
There we go. There we go.
What a night.
Look at that.
All because the race decided to be over for no idea why ATVO decided everyone would finish the race. But we are at that magical point now. We're under 20 laps out, 19 laps to go. What's going to happen with these guys? When are they going to stop, Scotty? What's going to happen?
Based upon my calculations, on the previous stop, Witcher and Phelps were 5 to 10 seconds quicker on pit road than all their competition. What that means is they've got to add, everyone else has got to add this 5 to 10 second sort of margin of fuel. In my mind, that says to me that they're still short. Now, the critical cars that I'm probably looking at within this pack are Andrew Dyson. He pitted on lap 81. That means he has done more fueling than anyone else in this pack except Dylan Shea. Dylan Shea pitted on lap 82. All of those cars in that lead pack, their transit time from end to end, 57.58 seconds. That's a full fuel, 57.58 seconds. So the later that you pitted in, that means you've added every lap that you've done in between, you're better than your competition. Now, in my mind, if Andrew Dyson and Dylan Shea have been saving, they are going to be, I think, crossing the line with less than a smell of an oily rag and unable to do burnouts.
That's okay. They'll be extremely happy with that either way. Just updating. So Christopher Finlay was one that went in for a stop there, who was up around the front there. He's come out behind Justin Witcher by about 5.5 seconds in that crew, just ahead of Ruben Phelps. So that's real time for that position. These guys are a lap down, but they are fighting for the lead nonetheless, as Barry Neal is up the front. That's Barry Neal there as he, gets a hit from Raymond Yeager as he goes in the pit lane. That is no communication there. That's made Barry Neal's car more aerodynamic. And let's have a look at Raymond Yeager's front end. Oh, was it Greg Spencer?
Got away with it.
It was actually Greg Spencer, I think. Have a look in front of Greg's car. No?
Gotten away with it.
Yeah, there was a little bit of net code because I saw things disappear and reappear. But Barry Neal's definitely did not get the... Oh, we've got the Andrew Ritchie there. But you can see there the back of his car is in trouble.
Again, another driver down all their luggage on vacation.
Yeah. But it hadn't been too bad for Noddy Tompkins. I know he's 35th at the moment, 4 laps down, so I don't know whether that's due to that. Sean Hart, who we did say had a really, really good stint the first time, is coming back out onto the pack. He's actually ahead of Justin Witcher right now. So he is theoretically leading this race.
There's nothing in it. There's nothing in it too. So Sean Hart, in my mind, he's come in early because he doesn't want to show his cards to everyone else. Everyone else now will have no understanding of where he's gone within things. And if he also recognized that he could get around with a draft buddy, which he does have to his outside, well, all of a sudden he's in. But the problem is he's got a draft buddy that doesn't really want to work with him. So that's the race.
Noddy Tompkins done good. He's put the boot back on. He's lost his aerodynamic advantage, unfortunately. That's the problem.
Has Noddy Tompkins got in contact with the Alpha Tauri team and got some of that magical anti-DRS tape from Yuki Tsunoda's car?
Maybe, but Sean Hart, well done. You are theoretically leading this race unless Andrew Dyson or Dylan O'Shea has got something further to show us, which I think they do. I think there's an untold story there with 12 laps to go. Unless these guys can get home. 12 laps to go. What's going to happen here?
Two major problems here for Sean Hart. His last lap was a 31.128. The leaders did 30.8, 30.9. That's because they've got drafting support in front of them. So he needs to find some assistance very, very quickly, or all the margin that he made up, it's going to disappear.
We've got more people pitting now. We've got Gary Wellman in. Dwayne Priest is no. He's just got a slow lap time. He's come out in front of Barry Neal though. That's pretty interesting. We've got Barry Neal sitting in between Witcher and Phelps. Wellman is on the pit box right now and coming back out. His was an 11-second stop. Raymond Yeager slowing down to come in with one of the middle split racing. Craig Roffey right behind him as well. This is where it's all going to happen. Can anyone get home? Can Dyson, can O'Shea get home? That's the question right now.
Well, it's a critical question too, because the track itself and the track map is about to completely get shaken up. You ever seen one of those earthquake simulators where you just sort of shake all the land and all the land just sort of settles down and it scatters everywhere? That's a little bit what the track looks like at this point in time. Cars kind of everywhere. No real packs. So packs are very non-representative of what the speed are. Now, just having a quick look, Dyson has lost a lot of draft support, or consistent draft support this lap. 31.035, 39.85 for Sean Hart. So he's starting to eat some of that margin back away.
Who has
come out ahead of him?
What's that?
Roffey come out ahead of him.
Yep, but he's just dropped behind him now. So Craig Roffey and Sean Hart are battling for the lead of this race. Andrew Ritchie is in the pits. He's not battling for the lead of this race. Raymond Yeager, though, is just back there. There's a Pinnacle 1, 2, 3 there. Greg Spencer and Justin Witcher behind them, theoretically, unless, like I said, we've got 5 cars here.
Troy Davison on his way out is going to merge just immediately in behind that pack. So he's really going to grab the tail end of Craig Roffey. So he's played himself into contention as well.
Nessa and Brad Fenley in. Nigel Patton's the only other one that's out there. Now, we said he was going really good for fuel before. He had a really long stint.
Well, hang on. Dyson and Shea are still out on track as well. Yes. They haven't pit yet.
No. And we've got 7 laps to go here. This is crazy. We've got the top 3 have not stopped. Can they go to the end with 7 laps to go?
Shea was the last one to pit under the last round of pit stops. He is burning up Dyson because Dyson cannot, out of these two, if one of these 2 cars can't make it, it'll be Dyson. If one of these 2 cars can make it, it's Shea. Shea's not fighting him. He's just sitting there. He's happy for this to happen. He's still running reasonably representative pace. They've just done 31.265 for Dyson, 31.203. That is absolutely critical. Sean Hart, 39.97. Beaten only by a couple of cars. All of the times are now dipping below that 31 mark. It's time to go racing, boys.
It is. Just a quick question from InstaKills. As Dyson pulls in, Dyson comes in with 6 laps to go. Where's he going to come out? What would a yellow flag do to this race now? I've pretty much null and voids it right now, I think, except for O'Shea.
You'd end up with the first 2 cars if a yellow flag was to come out right now, the top couple of cars would maintain their status on track. Everyone else would be forced to take a wave around. In this instance, if I was one of the leaders, I just wouldn't pit. I'd trap the whole field a lap down, and then I just ease off on the throttle. There's no reason to punch that thing. I can save enough fuel to get home.
That's it. Everyone is in now. Nigel Patton snuck in while we weren't locking. This is the last car to pit with 5 to go. 5 to go, and we are still looking at the strategy trying to play out. Sean Hart has the lead of this race, but where will Dyson come out? Dyson's
not
out.
Theoretically.
Dyson's out, and he's coming.
Got it. Well, there's Roffey, so Sean does have it. Sean Hart's going to grab another position here, I think.
No. Dyson's a good 3 seconds, 4 seconds ahead of him. Dyson is the leader of this race right now. Dylan O'Shea, where is he going to come out now is the question. 3.5 seconds Dyson has over Hart. You can see Hart
long time on pit lane.
Well back.
I think O'Shea's overfilled this. I think he's thrown it away because Dyson's up to speed.
It was 6 seconds on the pit lane, on the box.
Dyson's already up to speed though. Dyson's going to clear him.
Either way, no, they're in the pack though. This is pack racing for the win. There's half a second in it. O'Shea and Dyson have this race in the bag right now. It's theirs to lose. Sean Hart has a podium. with Troy Davison, of all the people, is right on Hart's tail here. There's the battle for the last spot on the podium. It's all happening.
So Sean Hart right now, he's got to manage this correctly. The problem for Sean, he has no draft assistance. The pack ahead of him is slowing. Their pace is coming back to him. These guys behind him have to be in his rear bumper now. If Davison's not there, and if Davison needs to send this, I would say when we get to turn 1. If he does not do that, I don't think he's going to get the move done.
Just quickly, that's a whole heap of Pinnacle racing behind Roffey there, who's going to... That's Spencer, Jaeger and Witcher all lined up to go aiming at this podium as well. Third place is not done and dusted yet. This is a massive fight for third.
Craig Roffey's gone. So Craig Roffey, to me, I think he just looked like he's out of tyre. So he's got not enough left. Now the Pinnacle boys will start to group up. We're 3 laps from home. 3 laps from home, and the leaders are half a second in it. It's the 2 new boys to town. It's Dylan O'Shea and it's Andrew Dyson. Showing up for the first time, showing off a set of oval skills. 2 laps now left to run. O'Shea gets onto the rear bumper. They're in V8 Supercars with active headlights, and he's on the headlights. And look at Dyson. Dyson's not out of this yet either. He's in range. He's just about out of it. He's got to be there now. Should the traffic play into his hands, it'll be all O'Shea's. But Shea still has to make it around traffic. He might have just about got it done. I thought that was a car sideways for half a second when it dropped in the shop. That's the Pinnacle
This
sport.
is the final lap. There's too much to watch. Sean Hart has Pinnacle right on his tail, but also has Troy Davison.
Oh, there's a little bit of elbowing from a car there. Car gets a hit. Dyson's coming. O'Shea's lost momentum. Andrew Dyson's there. And they will go 3 wide into the final corner. Warwick Sharp will lead him back to the start-finish line. O'Shea's looking for the run. O'Shea's going to dump Warwick Sharp. And Dyson goes high side. It'll be O'Shea. 1 race, 1 win. Dyson home in P2. And by 1/10th of a second, it will be Hart over Davison. And what a recovery drive from Troy Davison. We said that he was having a sneaky race all night long. He was just lurking beneath the surface, and that is a good points night.
Whew. Oh, what do we do now? Let's have a look. Let's just go into the replay here. Let's have a look at that final lap. I need to...
I think, I'm going to be honest, I think Dyson may have handed it to O'Shea there because I think he knew he was beat, and I think he wanted the right person to win the race. I'm going to be honest, I think that was a great show of sportsmanship from Dyson.
Let's go back to where it all started before we start getting interviews up here. So at this stage, we're going backwards. O'Shea's got this. Wow. There's a Skypoint racing car in trouble there. So we're on top here. On top. Let's have a look what happens. O'Shea's going for the win of this race. Number 2 hits him. He gets rubbed. Almost
so he loses momentum.
4 wide.
Warwick Sharp's 4 wide.
Yeah, you're right, because Dyson can win there. Dyson 100% could have taken it down the inside and been behind 222. And that's race over for O'Shea.
And he's been checked up yet again, which is why there's a little bit of rubbing.
Yeah. No, Dyson's sold off there. Yeah, 100% good call.
Dyson, I think we'll ask him about it. It's one of those ones where I sit there and I go, look, I think it looks both ways. The first time I saw it, definitely from a rear looking view, I would have said 100% Dyson's bailed out of that throttle to give the win to the right driver. But on second review, I can't quite tell. It still looks that way, but not quite. And what about Troy Davison's finish?
What a great job. That's Hart down the inside. That's Davison up above him. But that car above him's not in the race at the moment. That's Jaeger. Just look at the Pinnacle boys. That's how close they were to coming back. Great job from Justin Witcher. Was involved in that incident and has got all the way back up to finish P7 as well.
But that's what a multiple time champion of the series does, and that's what somebody who wants to win another championship does as well. They go, look, I've gotten involved in something. How do I prevent that from happening? And this is remember what I said back at the start of the night. The difference between Aaron Bryan and Justin Witcher. This is it. You've got 2 sets of circumstances that, they're a little bit different, but at the same time, they've played things very, very differently when they're dealt rough hands. Justin Witcher, was still on the lead lap, but at the same time kept himself alive, kept himself in it. would have had to have eased off in the early parts of runs there to put himself in a great position. Brian, just in difficult situations, and it's tough to analyze a race like that as well. What is a difficult situation? What's an anxious situation? Where do I just not need to be when I'm in those sorts of circumstances? So if anything, I think that's actually probably one of the best races for Aaron Bryan to take a look back at, because A, only 30 laps long and then the night's done, so it's nice and short for him to review. But B, you can have a very good look at your driving habits and your driving behaviors, your driving mentalities. You're not in a position. How do you adapt to that? And when you have a look at the difference between the two drivers as Knights, one of them scored a whole boatload of points and one of them is, well, just about dead last.
I just realised ATVO's completely lost all the stuff I put into it before. But we're looking at the results now before we get the people in here. Dylan O'Shea first, Andrew Dyson second, Sean Hart third, fourth is Troy Davison, fifth was Raymond Yeager, sixth was Greg Spencer, seventh was Justin Witcher, eighth was Gary Wellman, ninth was Dwayne Priest, 10th was Ruben Phelps, 11th was Aiden Schultz, good run from him, Adam Lone in 12th, Darren McKenzie in 13th, Nicholas Walsh in 14th, Joe Schultz in 15th, Nigel Patton 16th, Warwick Sharp 17th, Christopher Finlay 18th, Andrew Ritchie 19th, good job from him, Andy Barber 20th, and then we go to the lap down boys, Ash Nesser 21st, Tom Pritchard 22nd, Brad Fenley 23rd, Derek Jacobs 24th, Christian Cock in 25th, Barry Neal 26th. Unfortunately, with that problem, he must have had another problem as well because he wasn't a lap down. And we saw him last. Troy Mortensen in 27th, Tim Blundell 28th, Kim Roffey in 29th, Stephen Hall in 30th, 2 laps down. And then there's the rest. Craig Roffey, unfortunately, 2 laps down. Peter Matson, 3 laps down. Roy Clark, 3 laps down. Noddy Tompkins, 3 laps down. Peter Jones, 3 laps down. Stevie Dove, 5. And then the retirees of Peter Gretton, Alan Gill. Alan Gill must have been still going. He was about 27 laps down from the start. Che Mellor, Aaron Dillon, and Kate Donnelly, Todd Maxfield, and Aaron Bryan. Our 43 full-length field. I am going to quickly go to this screen, and then we're going to quickly do some stuff where I'm going to find out...
In the meantime, I'm going to interview some drivers.
Yeah, you bring them up.
Starting off with our third place finisher tonight, having one of those sneaky, silent assassin style races down the tail end. Sean, couple of weeks now that you found your way onto the podium, and similar format to the one previously as well. All of a sudden, last 30 laps, who pops out but Sean Hart?
Yeah, I can't explain it. It's just, I think I'm a bit lucky, but no, tonight was a really fun race. Everyone really pulled their weight out there, and yeah, I'm really sweating now, but no, good result.
Mate, I think this is one of the more successful seasons you've had, and you haven't been able to run just about every week as well. 2 podiums this early on into a longer season definitely gives you a few hopes coming to the tail end of things, but a long race, more drivers in the race than we've ever seen before, and pre-qualifying. It's just about been probably one of the weirdest, wackiest, and most fun nights we've had so far in the Australasian Supercars eSeries journey.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. It's certainly busy out there, even like down in the sort of mid-20s for quite a while there. And ahead of me, there's a stack of cars. Behind me, there's a stack of cars. And somehow not much in the yellow flag department. So, yeah, pressure's certainly on out there at the moment.
It's all about lane choice when you come to Chicagoland Speedway, but sometimes it's about the choice of when you come to pit road. Let's have a little bit of a talk about probably I'm going to start calling it the golden accelerator pedal in your car. Somehow it just seems to burn less fuel.
Yeah, I don't know, just by nature, I think I sort of lift and coast quite a lot, which means I sort of struggle to stay with the lead groups when they're really pushing hard. Unfortunately, the yellow I was hoping for never came, which meant I had to splash to get to the end. I would have only been a couple of laps short, but yeah, no, that's the excitement. You take the gamble and hope it pays off. And so I pitted a bit earlier than most in that lead group, hoping there'd sort of be a bit of a hustle bustle after I pitted. But yeah, the leaders, I think, took a long stint and managed to get a couple of seconds up the road from me. So yeah, no, it was good fun, real good fun.
Doesn't matter, mate. When you pop back out at the tail end of pit stops and you've got 5 laps to the end, and all of a sudden you just see lapped cars everywhere in front of you and a whole host of angry cars in the rear view mirror. We were talking about traffic being a bit like rush hour in the major cities tonight. Feel like that out on track?
100%. Cars everywhere. I think the lappers did a pretty good job tonight. I know in previous races, that may not have been the case, but tonight I felt like they did a pretty good job of not causing any grief for any of the front runners. So kudos to them. I think everyone tonight did a really good job, and I'm surprised that I'm managed to bring it home in third, but yeah, just the luck of the draw, I guess.
Mate, congratulations on another top finish. And to be perfectly honest, anytime that there's a green car on the podium, I big shout, big whoopoo, a whoopee and celebration from me. So thank you for getting my favourite colour back up there again.
Yeah, I'll continue to try and do that, mate. Thanks a lot.
Your opportunity to thank everyone who supports you, brother.
Yeah, just the Code 9 esports guys. They're the main guys I race with other than this series. And the guys that organise this series, they do a top job and continue to do a top job with increasing numbers. So I don't doubt that will continue. And lastly, just Brownie's Garage. His sponsors on the car. He runs his YouTube channel, so shout out to him. And that'll be it from me. So thanks, guys.
Sean, get that 610 machine looking good and back up here on the podium sometime again in the near future, yeah?
Absolutely, mate. Thanks a lot.
Have a great night, brother.
Cheers, mate.
Well, that's P number 3 out of the way. P number 2, decided by next to absolutely nothing. Andrew Dyson, first question I want to ask you, did you lift to give the win over to Dylan O'Shea? It looked a little bit like that. I think he had the win if traffic wasn't a scenario, and sometimes it's just the kindest thing to do, isn't it?
And I was a little worried he was going to come up on me, so I'm kind of looking across, and then I was wobbling a little bit, and I got a bit worried, so I had to come out the throttle, but he was always going to win it anyway.
Mate, just take the accolades. Take the accolades. Yeah, I lifted. I was trying to do the responsible thing.
No, I did. I pretty much did, yeah. I didn't want to crash, basically.
Mate, tricky race in terms of the fuel numbers. You two were the longest on the prior stint out going the long distance. 43 cars in the field. Is this the first time you've been on the Australasian Supercar eSeries field? It's the first time I recall seeing your name, and the first time I recall seeing the car out there.
Yeah, sort of long-time listener, first-time caller sort of thing. I've been watching it a little bit, and Stephen Williams, that is, has been telling us a little bit about it. And we thought we've got nothing on tonight, so we should come and have a blast around in these things, and it was heaps of fun.
You just wanted another interview with me, didn't you, Dyson?
I love talking to you blokes.
Look, first time caller. Does that mean that you've sort of been hit now? It's you've been bit with the bug. Will we be seeing you back again whenever you're possibly available?
This circle racing business, it's pretty funny, man. Like, doesn't matter what you race or what you are racing in and who you're racing against. Like, it's pretty addictive. So this in particular, because it's kind of like super speedway racing, but not on super speedways. So it's pretty intense stuff. It's kind of fun, but I don't think my heart could take that much sort of intense racing every Sunday night. But I'll jump in when I can for sure.
Well, talk to us about the differences, because obviously you're one of the few drivers in the field that's got this ability to pretty much any time that there's only left-hand turns, all of a sudden you pop out at the pointy end of things. So in terms of the difference between stock cars, obviously a lot more tyre burn off. The cars feel a fair bit heavier, whereas these things, the rears want to come around. But at the same time, they get to that pivot point where sort of it bobbles back and forth a little bit sometimes as well.
Yeah, the driving part of it's pretty different, that's for sure. The cup cars, they feel no aero, they're really heavy and stuff. Any sort of NASCAR chassis is a bit like that. The big baggy tyres on the old ones in particular. These ones, pretty, I don't want to say it's like easy, but they're pretty stuck to the road, so it's not too bad. You just got to look after yourself and watch where everybody is. So that seems to be the main thing, is basically watching where all the cars are around you, because these things are so drafty, people can sneak up on you pretty quickly.
In terms of things, I mean, just about the only thing I haven't seen you succeed now in is an IndyCar. So are we signing up for IndyCar events next?
Well, I've never raced IndyCars, to be honest. I'm not
Let me know if you need a coach. I'm here. Let's get the show on the road. We're going to work together, Daiso. There's going to be an IndyCar Pro in the next to no time.
Yeah, I'd need it because I don't really know how to use that push to pass and that sort of stuff or what gear to be in, but it'd be a heap of fun. I'd love to get involved in it somehow.
Given it's Chicagoland, it is a tricky track, but it's also one of those tracks that does create a lot of racing. And obviously, we talked about the specifics of the format. Big love for Chicagoland. Big love for the oval that has no straight.
It's the only track I really ever remember because it's the only one that doesn't have a back straight and front straight. So it's easy to know what track it is. I haven't really raced here a whole lot, though I have to confess, I think I've raced here once before in a hosted league in the older V8 supercars. So that was a heap of fun, and I kind of knew what to expect, but these cars are way more stuck to the road than the old ones. But I wouldn't say it's a favourite, but it's just one I recognise, and I guess I kind of know how to get around it.
Guess you kind of know how to get around it, he says after finishing P2, mate.
Depends on the car. Okay.
Another strong finish here. Good to see you around, Daiso, as pop in and pop onto the podium, and opportunity to thank all those guys that make it possible for you.
Yeah, for sure, man. Big shout out to Dexter Motor Racing, Mad Dog, number 99 original, privateer from Supercars way back in the day. Love his work. Shout out to Simmings.com and all the other cool dudes that usually get us done. They would have been on Steve-O's car tonight. And shout out to Dylan and Sean tonight on the podium. And thanks to you guys for putting it all on. Oh, and the guys from Australasian eSeries. They put together a cool little thing here. So cheers.
Well, if you thought this was fun, wait until you see the post-race show where they go through all of the incidents out on track. It's one of the most exciting yet unique experiences. So you've got that to look forward to as well.
I'm glad to say I'm not a part of that.
All right, congratulations on the second place tonight, Daiso, and I'm sure Wilco will be talking to you through the week yet again.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Thanks, mate. And finally, to the top step of the rostrum from Victory Lane himself, Mr. Dylan O'Shea. Dancing Dylan all the way up onto the podium. It was a bit of a dance to get around that last lap, mate, to bring it home.
Yeah, got a bit interesting with those lappers there, but ended being able to get around them and just come away with the win.
Now, if I said on the last lap that you'd be 4 wide for a win, you'd expect it to be with cars you're competing with. It's a unique set of circumstances when there are other cars that still have a race to compete within, but at the same time, you've got to piece through them, and you got to send it, or else Daiso gets you there.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit ridiculous, but there was a few opportunities for them to maybe let us go and them not lose too many positions or any, and they didn't take it, so I just had to race through them, and I think I got caught up on one of them coming out of 2 on the final corner, but I mean, what do they expect really, like coming through? But
I mean, everyone's
made an interesting last lap.
Everyone's out there. Everyone's got the entitlement to be out there as well at the same time, but it's still a unique set of circumstances regardless. That is a NASCAR-styled ruling. So, I mean, by the sounds of things, you're more in preference of the old blue flag style of ruling. Let me go and race it for a win, more so than play on. They've got to compete to hang on to their lap and hang on to their track position.
Yeah, it's just I know it's fair game, but just a bit of respect. I don't know. But, they're entitled to do what they want, and that's fine.
Now, Dylan, can I talk to you about that last pit stop? How nervous were you going into that?
Yeah, I was, because the previous stops, I was pretty easy into there, so I'm like, oh yeah, I'll go in a bit harder. But I haven't really done many stops in this car here as well, so I didn't know how deep I could go. So I just kind of centered a bit. It wasn't too bad. I wasn't sketchy coming in. It was pretty straight. But yeah, I was definitely trying to maximize it.
It was
and ended up doing so.
1 full second quicker than Dyson, which obviously was the difference in the end.
Yeah.
So well done on that. When you came out and you saw that it was only a handful of laps to go when you had the lead, what were you thinking at that stage?
I was looking to find where Daiso was because I couldn't see him with all the traffic around, or my relatives. So had him in my ear telling me where he was. So knew he wasn't too far, and he was going to get behind me. But yeah, was able to just keep it together.
Mate, obviously first time out in Victory Lane, a unique experience, and for you, I mean, this isn't something that you're doing on the regular. It's something that you're sort of coming in and having a little bit of fun with from week to week. How do you find the comparison to the stock cars?
Yeah, I'm normally in these cars for road racing in V8 Scops, so it's kind of my home Whereas stock cars, I'm not normally racing those a lot, so the stock cars are more foreign to me than these cars. But still, driving these on ovals is definitely interesting and can be a handful at times.
Mate, let's talk about the way that they rotate through the corners. Let's talk about the speeds that they're carrying through the corners. You've got to leverage the gears, so obviously a little bit of the road racing sort of experience comes through, but just you can't get tied up on the wheel. You've got to look after that front right tyre. Is there a skill set here that you'll take away and you'll be looking to apply back to V8 supercars racing on circuits as well? Or, is there perhaps a lot more that comes from a circuit racing perspective that you would be applying? Do you think it's more oval racing? Do you think it's more circuit racing? Do you think it's drafting package? What's the takeaway here?
I think it's just getting comfortable with the car. Like on the quali lap, we were sliding. I was sliding a lot, so like you could kind of get the rear out a bit, and it kind of just drifts there and just hangs there. So like you don't need to keep feeding it wheel or like even countering it because it'll just come back. And it's just kind of, it's a different. I don't know if you can compare the road to the ovals too much, because the road, you're braking and it's a completely different ball game. But I mean, it's just getting comfortable with the car can definitely be a comparison between the two disciplines.
All right, mate. Well, it's been a pleasure having you out and in here and as a part of something that's unique and different. And is there any advice that you'd be offering to somebody that has a taste for the V8 supercars or a little bit interested in perhaps oval racing? Is this the best format that you think to pick up oval racing and go do something unique?
I'd say so. If you're coming from road to ovals, this can be definitely a good series to jump into, because lots of people in Australia, I guess, drive the V8 supercar on the iRacing platform, so are used to the car and can be a good introduction to oval racing, and then stock cars if they so please.
All right, mate. Well, congratulations on the win here tonight. Obviously brought to you by all of the people that make it possible for you. Do you want to extend the thanks to everyone that's made it possible for you?
Yeah, running the big privateer tonight with Daiso. But simrigs.com also for sponsoring our normal team, DPR, and all the boys down at DPR for cheering us on. Also Australasian Supercar eSeries putting it on. Good fun tonight, and Locked On Lads for broadcasting the race tonight.
Mate, congratulations on the big old win. Celebrate it down in Victory Lane. There will be burnouts. I am sure anyone drives a V8 supercar to a win does not celebrate without a few burnouts. So enjoy the rest of your night, mate.
Cheers, mate. You too.
Well, Wilco, I think that has been the least exciting final lap that we've had so far this season. And yet, we still crossed the line 3 wide.
We did. It was something a little bit special, as you mentioned, and it's hard to really understand what happened then. It was everyone left to the last minute. Everyone wanted that yellow, and no one was going to get it in the end, which is great for driving standards. 43 of the fastest V8 oval drivers came out tonight. We only had a handful of retirees in the end, which was really good. And 3 wide at the finish yet again, even though it wasn't the 3 we wanted. It was a few back markers, but I tell you what, that was a cracking race. I quickly want to shout out, I didn't quite get them before, Edge Setup Shop, Witcher Electrical, my private seller, obviously, Hot Toddies we talked about, United Electrical Solutions, and Pagnian Imports as well are the ones that helped bring this series to you all. If you want to get in on that, let us know. Hit up Locked On Lads on Facebook, or hit up Raymond Yeager through Australasian Supercars eSeries. Either one will help you get in touch with someone to help you get on this series that is growing quick and fast and bringing in all the big talent, and everyone is watching it. So, Scotty, final thoughts before we go on to, well, I'm going to bring up this. This is where we're at for the next couple of weeks. We've got Michigan International Speedway next, Kentucky Speedway, then Texas Motor Speedway. What do you expect coming up in the next couple of weeks?
Much more of the same. Michigan, the cars tend to not rotate as cleanly or as smoothly down through turn 1. I can't actually recall racing at Michigan previously in these cars, so it's a little bit of a foreign sort of standard for me, but obviously Auto Club Speedway is in the background there, and Auto Club Speedway is just really an older version of Michigan. The tracks are so similar in their layouts. It's going to be about getting down to that bottom groove. How much do you spend in terms of tires? How much do you float around the top? Do you run right at the top of the racetrack? Because if you do, there's actually a lane where there's no grip at the top of the racetrack. So you've got to be one half of a lane off the wall to actually be able to get the car to rotate. That's going to be critical. Then we head on to Kentucky, which is probably one of the most unique ovals that we'll probably go to as a part of this format. Why? It's kind of like a triangle that's not really a triangle. The front stretch is
you're going to confuse me. Don't give me... You got ovals that aren't ovals that are circles, and now you got triangles that aren't triangles. What are you doing to me?
Okay, so Pocono is the triangle, but Kentucky's the turn 3 and turn 4 at Kentucky. It's completely unique. It is the only kind of corner of its kind within NASCAR. Just the way that it rotates. A lot of corners you've got, like we've got Texas, we've got Atlanta coming up. You turn 3 high banked corners. It's all about getting down, staying into that power. Well, when you go to Kentucky, it's about getting the car to rotate nice and smoothly coming through turn number 3 and turn number 4. It's a unique experience. It's actually my favorite track on the sim. So I'm really hyped up for that. But I'm hyped up for anything Australasian Supercars eSeries, to be perfectly honest. Next week, we're going to see another introduction of that pre-qualifying service. So if you are interested in getting into and getting involved in the Australasian Supercars eSeries, we've seen rookies to the season come in, show their wares, come out on top here tonight. That could be you next week. Make sure that you register, you get along, support Australasian Supercars eSeries on Facebook. They have their own Facebook page. Get the league details from there. Get involved in the league Discord. Get involved in the league on iRacing, because if you miss out on that pre-qualifying, that's it. Server's locked in. You're not going to be a part of it.
That's it. It won't always be 43, I assume. There'll be tracks that will take more cars, but I haven't heard too much about that, so we'll see how that goes in the future. But as for that, we will be back next Sunday for obviously Michigan for round 6 of the Australasian Supercars eSeries. We have a lot more stuff coming up. We just dropped the Paddock podcast, which is our podcast that covers the Logitech G Supercar Pro Invitational Series, which is we're 9 or 10 days out from the next round of that. So we've talked to a few people, including Jared Filsell and Luke Mitchinson. So go check out that podcast and see what's happening with that series. We're also happy to announce Locked On Lads, or Locked On Racing, is doing a big charity push finally. I've been mentioning it a few times now, but it's in the works. We're doing it for the 24-hour Spa event that's coming up on the 23rd, 24th of July. It will all start with this broadcast on the 17th of July for Atlanta Motor Speedway. Will be the start of that week. It will be the Sunday night, it'll be Monday night. We're actually just going to be playing some Core Keeper. Me and the original Locked On Lads will be sitting there playing some Core Keeper, having a bit of a chill stream on a Monday night. Tuesday night, we're going to do a special broadcast of the Locked On iRacing podcast. It's going to be back for one night only. We're going to do a live version of that. Wednesday's NCAR Thunder broadcast. Thursday will be me racing in the V8 Vets League. Friday will be our bit of a fun final practice before the 24-hour, and then on Saturday morning, the 23rd of July, we will start the 24-hour for Locked On Racing. So all that for Cure Cancer. You'll get all the details on our Facebook page, Locked On Lads. We will have the donation link up fairly soon, so you can get on that early. If you want to support us and help us out, let us know any further on that. We're happy to take on people and other ideas and things like that. But that's all happening. Other than that, check out, thank you everyone who's been joining the Discord, lockedonlads.com/Discord, who's been sharing the links, sharing the everything we've been doing, all the content, subscribing to the content. You guys are the real MVPs, and you're the reason we keep on coming back. So thank you, and keep doing that. You can go to hell, the spam bots. That's why I had to stop interviews and everything. I was too busy deleting stuff from our YouTube channel. We must be famous now. We've got all these kind of things. But thank you, Scotty, for being an absolute legend tonight. Thank you for another great series, Raymond Yeager and the crew. And we'll be back next Wednesday in the next broadcast for Locked On Lads TV. So until then, have a great night all. See you later.